Hello everybody, it is Hippodippin here, and today we're going to be continuing the Best Other Type series, and today we're going to be doing Steel, a very cool type, a very interesting type. But before we get started, I just wanted to say, sorry I am not uploading this video sooner. I did put up a channel update video, so go ahead and take a gander at that if you're so inclined. It has all the information on why and what's going on, so... but yeah, take a good look at that if you're interested. But yeah, we're going to be doing the Steel type today. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. For Steel is a very cool type. It really is. They tend to have great defenses, and I'm mostly talking about physical defense, but some have pretty decent special defense as well. The Steel type is actually designed to be the best defensive type in the game. And is it? So-so, but that's the way it was designed to be by Nintendo. Excuse me. And it really does live up to that, I feel like. For the most part, at least. Granted, they are kind of destroyed by special moves, but in general, they are pretty good. They have the most resistances out of any type in the game, and they totally work out that way. They really do. Some have good offensive potential, usually have decent HP stats, usually have decent HP stats. Not great, but not terrible either. Although some Steel types do have pretty bad HP stats, unfortunately. They do have great resistances, like I said. They also have an immunity to poison, which works out awesome for them. And that really helps them out in the long run. And they have a lack of recovery outside of rest. Unfortunately, this is where Steel kind of goes downhill. And it was the same way for the Rock type. They really do not have any sort of recovery at all. It's really unfortunate the way it works out that way, but that's the way it is. They unfortunately just cannot keep themselves sustained throughout the battle like any other type would be able to normally. But, you know, Steel type being a defensive typing would really benefit from having a bit more recovery moves and a bit more Pokemon getting access to them, so that's pretty much where that lies. And unfortunately also they tend to have poor move pools, they really do. The Steel type is one of those really unfortunate types that just don't have the proper support it needs to be considered the best defensive typing in the game. And I don't think you could single-handedly pick out any one best type in the game. You really can't. It all depends on the circumstances and what's going on, but in general, this is the way the Steel type was designed to be the best defensive typing in the game. So yeah, that's the way Steel works out. But let's go ahead and move on. Coming in at number 10 is going to be Bronzong, and I really like Bronzong. He's awesome in the lower tiers, he is. And it just works out so well for him. He's got awesome abilities, and that's where this Pokemon really is given its saving grace, is in its abilities. It has access to Heat Proof, and it has access to Levitate, which is fantastic. Two awesome moves. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. It has good defensive stats of 67, 116, and 116. So split right down the middle. It is great in lower tiers, it really is. The lower tiers, it's rare not to see a Bronzong every once in a while when you're battling in like the lower ladders. Not the lower ladders, excuse me, the lower tiers. It is a good dual screener, which means you'll usually see this Pokemon being sent out first. Usually, not always, but you can pretty much expect a Bronzong to come out often if it's on the team. You can usually expect it to be a lead. It is a decent Trick Room user, and what I mean by that is this guy can go ahead, set up Trick Room for the rest of your team, take the hit while using Trick Room, get out of there, and then go ahead and bop them. I mean, Bronzong does a pretty good job of supporting the team that way. Has very good abilities in Levitate and Heat Proof. Already pretty much went over that. And a cool thing about Heat Proof, if you didn't know, is you know, it negates the fire type. What's the word? The fire type advantage being super effective onto Bronzong, so that eliminates a weakness. And you also take half damage from burn, which is pretty interesting. It really is. So burn and leftovers kind of negate each other, for lack of a better word. And levitate is another ability that Bronzong gets, negates its ground weakness as well. So that kind of works out nicely. So it's tough to choose, but if I had to, I probably would go with levitate. And like I said, it's a good lead, so that is pretty nice. However, it does have pretty poor speed, but this Pokemon is not designed to be fast. This Pokemon is designed to be bulky. And like a lot of Pokemon on this list, its poor speed is not going to impact it too much in any sort of way. And that's just the way it goes with these defensive typings. Majority of them don't have the greatest speed. However, Bronzong also gets a lackluster move pool. It was tough to try and find a good moves for this Pokemon when I was thinking about the set. You don't really have that much variation within it. Bronzong is one of those Pokemon that, you know, it's given its moves and that's what everybody uses, and unfortunately that's the way it is. Bronzong does not have the variability with some of the other Pokemon, so Bronzong's kind of limited in that regard. And it does also have a low HP. 67 HP stat is not anything to write home about, and honestly, it's not very good. But in the lower tiers, in general, Bronzong usually destroys in a very, very good fashion. So let's go ahead and take a look at his set. 252 in HP and 252 plus in defense or special defense. I decided to go ahead and do this because Bronzong's stats are freaking split right down the middle. Like, you do not have one stat better than the other. So it really doesn't matter what you want to do. It's all depending on what your team needs. Personally, I feel like defense would be a little bit better for you, but you could easily run special defense if you needed to. And a 4 in attack, just to go ahead and boost that Gyro Ball just a marginal fraction. And you're going to want a negative nature and speed and 0 IVs in speed also. Levitate is the ability of choice. Leftovers, just to get that health back in some way. It really does help to have leftovers. And Gyro Ball is going to be your attacking move. Now, what this Pokemon is designed to do, and really what the 0 IVs and speed comes out to, is the Trick Room. And I decided to put Trick Room as an option on here. And of course, if you are going to run it, chances are you're going to want to run the 0 IVs. But if not, go ahead and leave the IVs whatever you want. It doesn't matter. With this Pokemon especially, it doesn't matter how fast it is or how slow it is. Chances are you're not going to be outspeeding anything without Trick Room. So it all depends if you want to run that move. But for the moveset, we wanted to go with Gyro Ball, Stealth Rock, or Trick Room, Reflect, and Light Screen. So this Pokemon is a lead, 100%. This Pokemon goes ahead, sets up the screens, and then skedaddles. Unless you need a Pokemon to take a hit, normally Bronzong can't do much to the opponent, and chances are you are going to have to be switching it out quite a bit. And Bronzong, in general, though, is a good lead. This is the set that really defines him. It's a set that works well, and that's a set that I like to use with this Pokemon. So that is pretty neat, and I love Bronzong. He's got such a cool design. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Our next Pokemon is going to be number 9, Registeel. And this is my favorite out of the Regis. And you might be asking, well, why was Regirock in the Rock video rated higher than Registeel? And that's very simple. In the Rock video, I did not have anything to work with. If you look at the Rock type, Rock is severely limited in what it can do. Like, there are very little Pokemon in there that are actually feasible. And unfortunately, Regirock was better than some of the other ones on the list, so that kind of sucks. But for Registeel, he is at number 9. That just goes to show how good some of the other Pokemon on this list are. Registeel is an awesome, awesome Pokemon. I love it. And unfortunately, it's not very viable in the upper tiers, just because there's Pokemon that can do it a little bit better. But I do like Registeel. He's very, very cool. So let's go ahead and take a look. Fantastic stats. I am not even joking here. 80, 75, 150, 75, 150, and then 50. That is fantastic. I love those stats. You're getting great defenses. Fantastic defenses, actually. It blows freaking Bronzong out of the water. This guy is a better Bronzong, so to speak. And it has a good move pool. Since it's got that legendary status, it does have a fairly decent move pool to go ahead and work with that, and it really does help it out fantastically. I mean, Registeel would not even be on this list if it didn't have the fantastic move pool that it does. Otherwise, it would just be a lump of metal that just took attacks all day, every day, but couldn't do anything anyway. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but call me DJ Hippitippin. But it really does wall a great portion of the lower tiers. The lower tiers have a problem with this Pokemon. And all that means is that this guy can come in, do whatever he wants, and the opponent's not going to have to, you know, think too hard other than, I gotta kill this Pokemon quickly before it just sets up hazards all over my team. And that's what Registeel does. He just goes in, sets up hazards, and the opponent can't really do much to him, unfortunately, for the opponent. That's just how good Registeel is. And he's a good setup Pokemon, like I said. However, his lack of recovery is really going to hurt him. I mean, it really is. You're going to have to run leftovers on this guy if you want him to be a any sort of, you know, recovery outside of rest, really. And he also has a poor speed stat, so that kind of sucks for him too. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the set. For Registeel, I want to run 252 in HP and 252 plus in special defense. And the reason I want to run it in special defense as opposed to defense is because this guy is an awesome setup Pokemon. Not only does he set up hazards, but he also sets up stats. His own stats, to be exact. And it really worked for him, so let's go ahead and take a look. 4 in defense and a negative nature in special attack. You really are not going to need special attack for anything. I know his attack and special attack stats are exactly the same, but that really doesn't matter. Registeel gets very, very little good special attacking moves. So negative in special attack is fine. Also, you're going to be rest, so you don't have to worry about taking burns, for example. Rest is going to go ahead, clear that status for you, and you're going to be fine and on your way. And for his ability, Clear Body is the only one you get. However, it's not that bad of an ability. It really isn't. So Clear Body kind of works out for you. And Leftovers, like I said, is pretty much going to be your most viable item. And it's the item you're going to be counting on the most, I feel like. Just because you're going to be needing that recovery little bit each turn. It really does help out. And for these moves, Iron Head, pretty standard. Earthquake or Hammer Arm, it really depends on your personal preference. Registeel is not fast to begin with, so you really don't have to worry about the speed drop from Hammer Arm. Although I feel like some kind of fighting move does help out. Earthquake is another good option. And for his third move slot, you got a bunch of options. Curse, Stealth Rock, or Thunder Wave. Curse to go ahead and help you get that defense up and attack up at the same time, and then you're going to be dealing some pretty hefty damage to your opponents. And Stealth Rock is there just to be another team supporter, get those rocks up. And Thunder Wave is a form of speed control. Get the opponent's speed. You don't want to get that speed down on the opponent's Pokemon, especially the faster Pokemon. So Thunder Wave is a good form of speed control. And then Rest to go ahead and pretty much heal your status and bring you back up to full HP. Granted, you're going to be asleep 2 turns, but hopefully if you set up enough curses, you should be fine. And granted, the opponent's really not going to be able to do too much to you anyway, so that works out pretty nicely. Our next Pokemon is going to be number 8, and it's going to be Mega Aggron. And I feel like Mega Aggron deserves this spot, just because he's an awesome, awesome Pokemon. I love Mega Aggron, but the thing is, he just gets no recovery, really nothing. And it's so unfortunate. I love Mega Aggron. He's such a cool Pokemon, but unfortunately he just doesn't get really much. But he does do his job better than Registeel, so that's why he's at number 8. So let's go ahead and take a look. Base 230 defense. Do I even have to say anything? Mega Aggron just takes hits any day, all day, and he can take hits for days. That's just the way it is. And Filter allows for reduced damage from super effective hits. That's awesome. Filter is just reducing the amount of damage he takes. So say for example the opponent goes for Earthquake. Not that it would do too much to you anyway due to your awesome defense, but Filter is just going to lower that even more. And it just works out so nicely for him. It's awesome. He's a good team supporter. What I mean by that is he sets up stuff for the team and helps them out in a general way. And a base 140 attack means that he's going to be hitting hard also. This is one of the few defensive Pokemon that you can actually run as an offensive Pokemon. Slow one, granted, but one nevertheless. And this means that he is going to be able to go ahead and just freaking hit like a goddamn truck. It's awesome. And that 140 attack can definitely save you in some of the, riskier scenarios. So, Mega Aggron got a lot going for it. And its lack of recovery means more team support. And what I mean by that is, it's going to need more team support. Mega Aggron is one of those Pokemon that needs a team to support it, otherwise it's not going to be doing anything. Excuse me. He just can't keep himself healthy. He just cannot. Mega Aggron's job is to take hits. That's his job. And unfortunately, that means that he's going to need a team heal him back up. Since he's going to be holding on to a Mega Stone, it's just, he can't have leftovers. He can't have any form of recovery. It's just the way it is. And he is slow, but like I said with Bronzong, you don't have to be fast to be a defensive Pokemon. You really don't. So that's the slow is kind of only minor. It really is. So you don't have to worry about Mega Aggron being absurdly slow. For his set, you're going to want to run 252 in HP and 252 plus in defense, 4 in special defense, and a negative nature in special attack. With that high HP in defense, you're going to be taking hits like it's nothing, especially physical ones. And a 4 in special defense, just a minor, bip to your special defense. It's, whatever. Doesn't matter what you put it into, really. 4 is not going to save you in any scenario, but special defense, boost it up any way you can, and filter is going to help you out with that, especially for those flamethrowers and those focus blasts and stuff like that. And you're going to want to run a negative nature and special attack. You really don't need. If you're specially attacking with Mega Aggron, you might be doing something wrong because his special attack stat is nothing. I mean, it's non-existent. So you're better off working with his 140 attacking stat than special attacking stat. So just keep that in mind. And filter, of course, keep yourself healthy. Keep yourself with reduced damage from super effective hits, and that's going to be working out just fine for you. For your item, you're going to want to run Aggronite just to go ahead and Mega Evolve, and that's pretty much all it does. Heavy Slam is a pretty good move. It's pretty standard on Mega Aggron, actually, due to his high weight and the stab from Heavy Slam. You are going to be doing a lot of damage. Not anything is going to be taking that much, like the same amount of damage. Like if you had a fully invested max attack Mega Aggron, Heavy Slam is going to be destroying opponents. It's crazy. And for the second move slot, you can run Earthquake or Toxic. Toxic just to go in and help your team spread that status around, and you are going to be racking up damage eventually with Toxic, and it means the opponent cannot survive forever. So if you can stall out your opponent, by all means, go ahead and do it. And Earthquake's there if you want another damage-dealing move. Stealth Rock, go ahead, help your team, throw out those rocks, and freaking bop whatever wants to come in, especially if it's flying or fire or ice or whatever. Stealth Rock is going to be helping you out. And Ice Punch or Roar. Roar just to go ahead and cycle people out. And Ice Punch just to go and hit those harder to hit like Pokemon like Landorus if you're running this in OU. But really, that's pretty much a pretty standard moveset, at least for me in Mega Aggron, and it works out pretty nicely. Our next Pokemon is going to be number 7, Jirachi. And Jirachi is actually a pretty prevalent Pokemon in all tiers, UU and above. Jirachi is one of those really annoying Pokemon that just can find a way to go ahead and ruin your entire team without even trying. It relies on hacks, and that's why it's so popular. I hate Jirachi, but I cannot deny the fact that Nintendo wanted this little jerk to be successful, so let's go ahead and take a look. It has solid base 100s across the board. Serene Grace allows for flinching the opponent to death. Alright, you want to know something? I think I posted a video about this a long time ago, but I was running Mega Blastoise, okay? Mega Blastoise max defense, okay? And water resists steel, in case you didn't know. I got flinched to death from full health from Jirachi. I was furious. I could not believe that a Jirachi could flinch me every single time. And I swear this thing must have been banded or something, but it should have taken him forever to kill me. But he flinched me to death. It was the most annoying thing. I hate Jirachi. I hate Jirachi almost as much as Gliscor. I cannot stand this thing. It is an easy Pokemon to use. Yeah, let me remind you, he flinched a full HP Mega Blastoise to death with Iron Head. Iron Head, of all things. Hate this Pokemon, but it's a very easy Pokemon to use. You do not have to think to use Jirachi. You could click one button and pretty much win the entire game. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has a good move pool, of course. Of course, a Pokemon so overpowered has a great move pool. And its Scarf stats are deadly. I think any set with this Pokemon is deadly, to be honest with you. I hate Jirachi. And it is viable in higher tiers. I have seen this Pokemon in Ubers, and I do not play Ubers, but I watch people who play Ubers, and they use Jirachi sometimes, and it's very, it's effective. It really is, unfortunately. However, it has poor offensive potential. Like I said, like I said for my Psychic video, Mew also has solid base 100s across the board, but a 100 base attacking stat or special attacking stat is not good. It just is, it's average. It's like borderline below average if you want an offensive Pokemon. And that's just not going to save you. However, base 100 in defenses is awesome, so roll with that if you want to. Let's go ahead and take a look at the set and then move on to a different Pokemon. You're going to want to run 252 in attack and 252 plus in speed. 4 in HP and a negative nature and special attack. You're not going to be using your special attack with this set. Serene Grace is your only ability, unfortunately. And for the item, Choice Scarf or Life Orb works. Choice Scarf if you want to be a little bit speedy, and Life Orb if you want to be even more annoying. Iron Head, Fire Punch, U-Turn, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, or Healing Wish. You do have some options here. Iron Head, of course, who wouldn't want to flinch their opponent to death? And Fire Punch is actually surprisingly effective, gets burns fairly often, fairly reliably, thanks to the Serene Grace boost. And U-Turn, of course, to get on out of there, especially if you're using a Choice Scarf. It does help to be able to switch up scenarios. And Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, and Healing Wish. Thunder Punch if you want to hit those bulky water types. Ice Punch if you want to hit those bulky ground types. Maybe even freeze them, of course, because that would be so fun. And Healing Wish if you want to go ahead, die, sacrifice Jirachi, and go ahead and heal something up. Healing Wish is probably more effective with the Life Orb set, just because you can go ahead and switch up your moves. So do keep that in mind. But Jirachi is actually a terrible, annoying Pokemon, and I hate it. So let's go ahead and move on. Number 6 is Heatran. And if you've ever played OU, then you've seen this thing. And this thing is just dominating the ladder on OU because everybody uses it. And you know what, they should. It just is a complete check to fairies. 4 times resist their moves, immune to toxic, and it just works out for it in every way. So let's go ahead and take a look at Heatran. Great stats of 91, 90, 106, 130, 106, and 77. Pretty nice. It has a good bulk to it, and also it has a pretty high special attack, so that works out nicely. It is a counter to all fairies. No fairy using fairy-type moves is going to be able to damage this thing enough. It's ridiculous. Even like, say for example, Xerneas, even though nobody uses Heatran in OU, Xerneas, like, can't even kill this thing. It's crazy. So you are going to be having that advantage with you. You are bulky and able to take hits. Isn't that the truth? This thing can take hits for days. And it's so bulky, and it can just hit hard back too. So you're not going to be in there for too long, especially if you're a frail offensive Pokemon. Heatran's going to be able to take your hit and then retaliate back, and that's the bad part. It is a wide-ranging and extensive move pool. Heatran has one awesome move pool about it, let me tell you. This thing is so diverse, it's crazy. Pretty much everyone runs the same set. And it can be offensive or defensive. So I have seen offensive Heatran and I have seen defensive Heatran. And you see defensive a little bit more, but offensive is still a presence in the metagame, so you are going to want to watch out for that. However, it is very common and easy to predict. It goes back to what I was saying about the move pool. Everyone pretty much uses the same move pool, so you are going to want to watch out for that a little bit. And like I said, very, very common. So you can start to pick up on what Heatran's throwing down pretty early on in the game. And however, it is 4 times weak to ground. So you are going to have to watch out for Earthquake, obviously. Heatran cannot stay in against a ground type. It's just the way it is. Ground type would decimate Heatran in one hit. Doesn't matter how high your defense is, it won't matter. 4 times effective moves are crazy. And it is somewhat slow for offensive sets. I mean, if you're going to be running this thing offensively, which is not a bad idea, you may want to consider using a Choice Scarf because that 77 base speed is slow. It's very, very slow for an offensive Pokemon. And that's not going to, be beneficial for you in the future. For his set, 56 in HP, 252 plus in special attack, and 200 in speed, and a negative nature in attack. And the reason why you want a little bit in HP is just to go ahead and help you take hits. This is what we want. You want to take hits as often as you can and as much as you can. So any extra points we can throw in HP helps. Flash Fire, of course, good ability, gives you an immunity. And Life Orb, Shucka Berry, or Leftovers. Life Orb pretty much just means you're going to be hitting hard. Shucka Berry kind of reduces the damage you're going to be taking. And Leftovers, freaking nice move, let me tell you. It just really helps out. It freaking, brings back your HP per turn little by little, but it works out nicely. Fire Blast or Flamethrower. Fire Blast if you want pure power. Flamethrower if you want accuracy. I much prefer Flamethrower. I would much prefer Flamethrower. The amount of times I've missed Fire Blast and like Hydro Pump and stuff like that just makes me want to choose other moves. And Flamethrower is one of those. It just perfect accuracy and it just works. I don't care I'm doing less damage. Flamethrower is a better option in my opinion, but go ahead and run whatever you want. Earth Power is going to be the second move, and that's going to allow you to go ahead and hit a lot of Pokemon that Heatran probably couldn't hit before, and namely like Rock Pokemon, whatever. And Earth Power is just in general a good coverage move. Hidden Power Ice. Hit those pesky Pokemon that would be able to come in on you, namely those ground types. You want to get them as hard as possible before you have to switch, before you're forced to switch. So Hidden Power Ice does work out in that regard. And Protect or Stone Edge. Protect, help you predict some stuff, and Stone Edge just to do some kind of damage. I know we're running Negative Nature and Attack, but Stone Edge would do a lot of damage to a Pokemon in OU. Something like Talonflame or Charizard, that's going to be doing a lot of damage, so you do not even have to worry about the Negative Nature and Attack. But Protect is there. Go ahead and help you scout some stuff if need be. Help you burn some turns if, there's like unfavorable weather condition or whatever. Help you burn some turns. Protect is generally a good move. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Our next Pokemon is going to be number 5, Skarmory. Skarmory is actually a really good Pokemon, and I like it. It is an OU, and it is a very, very defensive Pokemon. So let's go ahead and take a look. Outstanding defenses of 65, 140, and 70. That really blows my mind. I mean, for such a strange Pokemon, it really works out for it. Typing is excellent, with only being weak to fire and electricity. Excuse me. Thanks to that steel typing, you are going to be able to resist ice, and that works out for you also. Fire and electricity are pretty much the only things you have to worry about, and that awesome typing, like I said, is just going to help you out in the long run. Help Skarmory really take on some of the extra stuff in the game. It is a good hazard setter, awesome hazard setter in my opinion. You can go ahead and set up hazards all day, and you can even clear them if need be with defog, so that works out pretty nicely. It provides a good chunk of bulk to your team building if you need a switch in. Skarmory is the Pokemon I recommend. It's pretty awesome. It handles fairies well, which is great, and like all Pokemon on the set, it really does handle fairies well. Fairies can't do much to the Skarmory, and Skarmory can pretty much hit them hard with an Iron Head or whatever you want to run on it, really. However, it is fairly common and therefore predictable. Skarmory is one of the most common Pokemon in OU, and along with like Ferrothorn and stuff like that. So you are going to have to watch out for opposing Skarmory and Skarmory that other people are using. And if you're going up against one, you pretty much can figure out what's going to happen. Skarmory is just one of those Pokemon that is so common that it becomes, you know, almost stale. Like, you can figure out what's going on before it even comes out. So let's go ahead and take a look at his set. 252 in HP and 252 plus in defense. You're going to want to max out that defense. You really are. And the more defense you have, that just means the more hits you're going to be able to take. 4 in attack and then negative nature and special attack. You're not going to need special attack at all. Might as well just go with attack. Sturdy is there to go ahead and help you live hits, and leftovers or Rocky Helmet are good options. Leftovers, you want that continuous turn per turn healing, or if you want Rocky Helmet just to go ahead and hit people even harder. Hit those opponents hard when they hit you. So Rocky Helmet's another good option. But Drill Peck, Roost, Iron Head, and Stealth Rock or Defog are great moves. Drill Peck I prefer over Brave Bird since you're not taking any recoil damage. Roost is there to go ahead and boost your HP even higher, but if you do need to watch out, I have been predicted with my Roost, so you are going to want to watch out for that. People have Earthquaked on my Roost and I die. It's crazy. So you are going to want to definitely keep an eye out for what your opponent might predict and what might be going on. So that's pretty much where you want to think about when you're using Roost. And Iron Head is there. Go ahead and get another form of coverage, another stab, and it hits fairies hard, it hits a lot of Pokemon hard, and it just in general helps you. And Stealth Rock or Defog depends if you want to be a hazard setter or a hazard get rid of her, if that's a word. But it really depends on what you want. If your team needs a if your team needs a hazard setter, I'd recommend Stealth Rock. If not, Defog. Really helps out the team, makes it so they're not taking any damage, and it helps you with your life also. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next Pokemon. Number 4 is going to be Bisharp. A lot of these Pokemon you've seen already, but Bisharp's a really good Steel type in my opinion. He's actually pretty awesome, so let's go ahead and take a look. Outstanding base 125 base attack. It is awesome. I mean, base attack of 125 is nothing to scoff at. Defiant allows it to switch into Intimidates and get an attack boost, which is awesome. If you lower any of these Bisharp stats, it's going to be boosting its attack by 2. So you do not want to reduce this Pokemon's stats at all. It has a base 100 defense, which means that it's able to take on hits and stay in. Which is really surprising considering it's an offensive Pokemon. And its 100 defense really helps out in terms of being able to switch into stuff and attack, or being able to switch into stuff and pivot. So Bisharp has multiple roles that you can go ahead and take advantage of. It is one of the most popular Pokemon in VGC right now. It's been one of the most popular Pokemon in VGC for a long time. It's really cool. And it's just the way it works out, it really is. And it can sweep Pokemon faster than it with Sucker Punch. This Pokemon has a specialty, I believe, of just Sucker Punching when anything's faster than it, and it usually kills. Especially if you can get an attack boost, and especially if you're running like something like a Life Orb or something ridiculous. So that's pretty much what you want to see. And Sucker Punch does work out, provided you can predict correctly. However, it is slow, base 70 speed, so you may have to lean on Sucker Punch a lot. Maybe your opponent will catch on to it. It all depends on how you're doing in the game. It's how you play it, and that determines what your opponent thinks. However, it is 4 times weak to fighting, so you are going to have to watch out for all those punches, all those mock punches, all those drain punches. Any sort of fighting move is going to be doing astounding damage to you, so you are going to have to watch out for that. Bisharp is not a Pokemon that can take hits nicely. It's one of those Pokemon that can just take hits, maybe 1 or 2, and then it's done, so you are going to have to watch out for that. Let's go ahead and take a look at his set. 252 in attack and 252 in speed. Excuse me, you want to put 252 plus in attack and 252 in speed. You want to max out that attack. Since you only got base 70 speed, it's not going to be killing you to go ahead and put that extra damage into attack. 4 in HP, doesn't even matter. Go ahead and throw it in there. Negative nature and special attack. You're not going to be using your special attack. You're not going to be using your special attack anyway. So what's the point? Defiant is the ability of choice. Really helps you out, especially for those intimidates. It does work out nicely. And for your item, you're going to want to run Life Orb or Focus Sash. Life Orb if you want to hit even harder, and Focus Sash to go ahead and live a attack if, say, you predict a Sucker Punch wrong and something terrible happens, like you get burned or whatever. No, not burned. Don't think of terrible scenarios. Think of scenarios where you predict wrong and you live on your Focus Sash. That's what you want. So say, for example, you're in against, like, I don't know, something, and you go for Sucker Punch and they don't attack, and then they eventually will hit you with an Earthquake. Brings you down to your Focus Sash and allows you to go ahead and live that crazy misprediction and allows you to keep going on with the game. So two really good options. Sucker Punch is a good move in general, allows you to outspeed since it's got increased priority, and it helps you to predict opponents, makes you think a little bit more critically, I feel like, so Sucker Punch is a good move. And Knockoff, of course, get rid of people's items, cripples them, especially if they need their item, like Choice Scarfers or Choice Banders or Life Orb, whatever. Leftovers also cripples walls. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, and it does work out pretty nicely in the long run. Iron Head has a chance to flinch like we went over with Jirachi, and it's a good stab move in general. And Sword Stance, just to go ahead and boost your attack even further. This Pokemon can sweep, it really can, it's crazy. So you are going to want to watch out for that if you're going up against it. But in general, I love Bisharp. He is confined to OU, and I don't play OU a lot, but if I did, I would use Bisharp a little bit more. So let's go ahead and move on to our next Pokemon. Number 3 is going to be Ferrothorn, and I had a tough choice between where to put Ferrothorn, but I feel like number 3 is the best spot for him. Being a really defensive Pokemon helps this guy out. The combination of Grass and Steel makes it so that this guy really only has one big thing to worry about, and that's pretty much Fire. But everything else is not going to be hitting this Ferrothorn for too hard. So let's go ahead and take a look. It has a ridiculous base 74, 131, and 116 defenses, which is awesome for a defensive Pokemon. And that high special defense is going to help it out especially. It's going to be able to take a lot of hits more than you would think, so that helps out also. Only 2 weaknesses, Fighting and Fire, and unfortunately Fire is 4 times, but Fighting is only 2, so that is going to help you out. Iron Barbs helps to rack up that damage. If you couple this with a Rocky Helmet, you're going to be doing some serious damage each time the opponent hits you, which is great. And it is one of the few Pokemon with defensive stats above 100 with a decent HP stat also, so that really helps out. 74 HP is actually pretty nice on the defensive Pokemon. Granted, it's not great, but it's something. It's better than the majority of the Steel-type Pokemon on here, and that's just going to help you out also. It is able to switch into attacks with ease. Pretty much Ferrothorn is a pivot. It is a pivot to go ahead and you can throw it in there and then switch into something else if you predict your opponent correctly. And Ferrothorn can take hits, and its job is to take hits and then go ahead and dish back some damage with Iron Barbs and a Rocky Helmet if you so desire to roll with it. So Ferrothorn is definitely a good Pokemon. It's definitely a Pokemon that you can use easily. I did not put that on there, but this is an easy Pokemon to use. And it's one of the best in the game, so it's an OU right now, and it's pretty awesome. However, it is 4 times weak to Fire, so you are going to be watching out for those Fire-type moves. 4 times anything is going to be hurting a lot to any Pokemon, so Ferrothorn does have an issue with that. But let's go ahead and take a look at his set. 252 in HP and 252 plus in defense is great. That really maximizes your defensive capabilities. And 4 in special defense, of course, just to boop it up a little bit, but in general it's not going to be doing anything significant. And a minus in special attack, you're really not going to be using it, and you know, there's no point in having it when you could reduce anything else, so might as well reduce special attack. Iron Bombs is your only ability, and Leftovers or Rocky Helmet is the one to roll with. And, excuse me, Iron Barbs is not the only option. You do have other options, but Iron Barbs is the best one. Leftovers or Rocky Helmet, I prefer it's hard to say, but I think I prefer Rocky Helmet because you can always Leech Seed the opponent and, you know, protect and get your HP back 2 turns in a row, which is pretty nice, and it just works out. So Leech Seed, pretty good move to have on it. It helps you get even more recovery. Coupled with leftovers, you're going to be doing a lot of HP recovery per turn, provided the opponent stays in. And Stealth Rock is there just to pretty much make it so that you are going to be able to set up some hazards. And I will be right back. Real sorry about this. Sorry about that, guys. I had to pause the video. I had an important phone call, but that's besides the point. Ferret Horn, picking up where we left off, is a good Pokemon. It has a, I believe we're going over his moveset. Stealth Rock, help you go ahead, set those up, help your team out, another team supporter. Gyro Ball is there. Since Ferret Horn is so slow, it is pretty much going to help you out with hitting Pokemon hard. And you'd be surprised how hard Ferret Horn can hit with a Gyro Ball, so that works out pretty nicely. And Protect is there just to help you get as much Leech Seed recovery as you can. It's also a good move to go ahead and scout, see what the opponent's going to do, and then make the correct switch based on what your opponent does. So yeah, that's pretty much Ferret Horn. I know people pronounce it Ferrothorn. I call it Ferret Horn. I know there's Thorn in there, but that's just me. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Next Pokemon is actually 2-in-1, Mega Scizor and Scizor. And they are 2 very good Pokemon, albeit they're run a little bit differently. The only reason you would not run Mega Scizor over regular Scizor is just because it takes up a Mega slot in which you could be using on something else. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. Scizor's stats are 70, 130, 100, 55, 80, and 65. So this Pokemon is just like Bisharp, albeit just 5 points slower. However, it does get a higher attack by only 5, so it works out pretty nice. However, Mega Scizor's stats get a huge boost: 70, 150, 140, 65, 100, and 75. So you can see a major boost to Mega Scizor's defensive stats, especially its defensive stats, yeah. And it gets a pretty sizable boost to his attacking stats as well, so that definitely helps it. It has great offensive potential. Both forms really do. They are awesome. Both are viable in higher tiers. I've seen Scizors do well in Ubers. It's crazy. And its Stab, Technician, Bullet Punch hits like a truck. It really does. Not much is going to be able to stand in the way of these Pokemon. It's incredible. It really is. And it has good recovery in Roost if you wanted to run it a little bit more defensively. You won't see regular Scizor doing that too often, just because they tend to be Bullet Punch, or excuse me, of course they're going to be Bullet Punch, but they tend to be Choice Banded. And then they just spam Bullet Punch for the max attack, and it works out pretty nicely for them. However, just like Ferret Horn, they are 4 times weak to fire, so you do want to use some caution when using these Pokemon. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at their set. 252 in HP and 252 plus in attack. This is regular Scizor, not Mega Scizor. And a 4 in defense helps you to go ahead and be as bulky and as offensive as possible. And a negative nature and special attack. However, I just want to go over something with the stats. You're not going to be that fast with this Pokemon. You're not designed to be. You have Bullet Punch, which has priority for that. And you're really not going to have to worry about speed, especially since you're Choice Banded, and Bullet Punch is going to be doing a lot of damage. So you're not necessarily going to have to worry about any speed investment. You might as well put it into HP. But enough about that. You're going to want to run a negative nature and special attack. For your ability, Technician is probably the best one you can go for. It is a pretty solid choice all in all, and it just helps boost your moves even more. And for the item slot, Choice Band or Life Orb, I prefer Choice Band. Chances are you're not going to be doing too much outside of Bullet Punch initially. Maybe if you needed to switch out, you can switch out and then go to Bug Bite, Aerial Ace, or Knockoff. Doesn't matter. However, Life Orb is another good option. Helps you switch it up a little bit, but you are going to be taking some recoil each turn that you use an attacking move. So do keep that in mind. You could also roost off the damage. If I had to say get rid of any one move on here, it would probably be Aerial Ace. So if you wanted to run Life Orb and Roost, probably get rid of Aerial Ace, but keep this stats and everything like that pretty much the same. It's just going to help you out. It really is. And for the moves, Bullet Punch, of course, crazy good move. And Bug Bite falls within the Technician range, so you're going to be doing actually base 90, and that's not even counting for Stab. And Aerial Ace if you wanted to run it over Roost if you're running Life Orb. But Choice Banded Aerial Ace is going to be doing a lot of damage. It does also fall within the Technician area, and it's going to be boosted even more, giving it like Stab, but not really. And Knockoff and Superpower. Two really good options. Knockoff if you want a decent attacking Dark type move that just cripples Pokemon that need their item, such as like Eviolite users. Doesn't matter. Knockoff just cripples a lot of things. And Superpower is another good option. Hits normal types hard. It hits a lot of things hard, and it hits some things hard that Scizor would not normally be able to. And is in general a really good move to go ahead and rely on. But yeah, that's going to be Scizor. Let's go ahead and take a look at Mega Scizor. Pretty much a little bit different. Pretty much the same, but a little bit different. 252 in HP and 252 plus in defense. We're going to make this thing a little bit defensive, but it's going to work out for us in the long run. You're going to want to run 4 in attack and a negative nature in special attack. And Technician is, of course, the ability you're given when you Mega Evolve, which is the same, and it works out pretty nice. And Scissorite is going to be the item you're going to have to use. Bullet Punch, Bug Bite, Roost, and Swords to Dance or Defog. Now, a lot of these moves we already ran over. Bullet Punch, Bug Bite, don't have to worry about it. Roost, don't have to worry about it. But for the last move slot, you are going to run Swords Dance or Defog, and it depends on what your team needs. If you want a Mega Scizor that is absolutely defensive without worrying about offense, probably run Defog. However, if you want to destroy your opponent in every way possible, Swords Dance is probably the move for you. It just is awesome. I have had fully defensive Scizors go ahead and use the Swords Dance and sweep teams. It doesn't matter if you're not invested in attack at all. Swords Dance is going to do that for you. 2 times attack is more than whatever you could put into it investing wise. So Swords Dance is a really good ability, or not ability, move, and it is going to help you out exponentially. The more you use it, the crazier your attack's going to be. So definitely look into that if you do want to run it. But that's going to be the Scizor and Mega Scizor. Let's go ahead and move on. Our next Pokemon is going to be number 1, Mega Metagross. And at the time of this recording, Mega Metagross is still an OU. I don't know if this is true for in the future, but if not, go ahead, shift it around a little bit, and I guess Mega Scizor is number 1. But for now, Mega Metagross is the bomb in OU. The bomb in a lot of ways. Mega Metagross is insanely powerful. In fact, it's a bit too powerful, and they definitely should nerf it. But for right now, it is insane. So let's go ahead and take a look at his. Just take a look about Mega Metagross. It is a great bulky physical attacker. This Pokemon is an absolute monster when it comes to attacking, and you'll see why here. Tough Claws gives it a boost to all contact moves. There you go. It's like a Life Orb. It's more powerful than Life Orb, but without the recoil. And it has awesome stats of 80, 145, 150, 105, 110, and 110. It is fast enough to murder half the metagame. It is crazy. And like I said, it just murders him. There's no chance of you escaping from a Metagross, especially if it's got a powerful move to go ahead and hit you with, which it does. Excuse me. It is very difficult to deal with. Once a Mega Metagross gets, momentum, you are going to have a seriously hard time stopping it. It's just the way it is. It's the way the game goes. Mega Metagross is so insanely powerful. You're not going to have a reliable way of stopping it if, say, your main way of stopping it faints. For whatever reason, Mega Metagross is going to tear through the rest of your team. That's just how powerful it is. And those defensive stats of 150 and 110 with an 80 HP stat, you are not going to be able to stop that thing anytime soon. Mega Metagross is just going to tear through your team, and maybe if it gets an attack boost through Meteor Mash, it's over. It really is over. Mega Metagross is too powerful most teams to handle, and that's why they're considering banning it. But let's go ahead and take a look at his set. 252 in attack and 252 plus in speed, 4 in defense, and a negative nature and special attack. And Tough Claws is going to be your ability. You really don't want anything else. Tough Claws is a great ability. Metagrossite is going to be your item to Mega Evolve with, obviously. And Meteor Mash, Zen Headbutt, Ice Punch, Earthquake, or Hone Claws are going to be your moves of choice. And kind of interesting, kind of. Meteor Mash, pretty standard move, goes ahead and nice stab move, and it boosts your attack by 1 sometimes, and it just works out pretty nicely. And Zen Headbutt, another good move, another stab move, and it's just going to hurt a lot when you go ahead and use it on a whatever, really. It's a really good move. Good coverage too. Psychic is one of the best coverage moves and coverage types in the game. Since you see so many poisons and, you know, fightings, Psychic is just good. It really is good. And Ice Punch is there just to go and hit like Pokemon like Landorus and Gliscor hard enough to the point where they're not going to be able to get back up. It's just the way it is. And 4 times effective on those Pokemon, they are not surviving. That's just the way it is. I don't care how defensive your Landorus is. Ice Punch is not going to leave it alive. It's just not. And for your 4th move slot, you have Earthquake or Hone Claws. And 2 awesome options. Earthquake hits hard like a truck. I mean, Earthquake is going to be doing a lot of damage. It's not stab, but it is a good coverage move. Hits a lot of Pokemon, hits fire types, hits a lot of things. It really does. And it's just a good coverage move in general. If you can run Earthquake on a Pokemon, chances are you probably should run it. And your other option is Hone Claws. Since freaking half of this moveset is inaccurate to some degree, Meteor Mash and Zen Headbutt are both 90% accurate, Hone Claws is going to ensure that they hit, and it's going to boost your attack at the same time. Personally, I feel like this is the option to go with over Earthquake. Hone Claws does more. It's going to help you out. It really is. You do not want to lose a game because you missed a crucial Meteor Mash or Zen Headbutt. Hone Claws is going to allow you not to miss. You're going to be hitting all your moves, and you're going to be doing 1.5 times damage with them. I mean, it's going to boost your attack by 1. It's awesome. And I don't see a whole lot of people using this set. So if you do want to go ahead and try it out, trust me, I have. It is worthwhile. It really, really is. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at our next slide. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching this. If you're watching this far, you've been sitting here listening to me talk for like an hour, so thank you very much for doing so. Your support really means everything to this channel's growth. Every like I get means the world, and it just helps more people see my videos, which is my ultimate goal, and it really helps. So thank you guys so much for your support. You guys mean everything to me, and I do appreciate it. And I think I'm done here for today. Follow me on Twitter if you want to, @HipDippin. I'm very tired of talking, so I'm going to end this video now. But thank you for watching. I do appreciate all the support you have given me. And I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.